Imagine crossing into darkness and witnessing the chilling truth of a dark alliance, the Antichrist and demonic forces conspiring against us. On January 15th, 2023, that's exactly what Sarah Johnson experienced. Keep watching as she reveals insights that could change how you view the battle between light and shadow forever. It was January 15th, 2023, just a week after my 42nd birthday. I was driving home from my job, burdened by a strange mix of midlife uncertainty and skepticism towards spirituality. The last thing I remember was the screech of tires and a blinding flash. Then nothing at all. As I drifted into that infinite void, I became aware of a chilling silence that enveloped me. I felt the weight of my existence evaporate, replaced by a surreal sense of clarity. I wasn't tied to my earthly worries anymore. My job, my doubts, the fight to make sense of it all. None of it mattered in that moment. What lingered in the shadows, however, was a daunting realization. Time seemed irrelevant as I floated in that darkness, somewhere between death and whatever lay beyond. Panic attempted to weave its way into my thoughts, but it quickly dissipated, replaced by an overwhelming calm. It was as if the universe was cradling me, urging me to let go and simply observe. This was a space far removed from anything I had known, filled with whispers that seemed both alluring and ominous. What happened in the moments that followed would unravel the thin veil of my disbelief and reveal forces I never imagined existed. I didn't simply drift aimlessly. The darkness began to take form. I could sense something stirring, a presence lurking just beyond my grasp, a palpable energy that beckoned me towards an unsettling truth. The world faded to black, and as I hovered in that dark abyss, a chilling awareness set in. It was as if gravity no longer ruled me. I felt weightless, suspended in a silence that both terrified and comforted me. I became acutely aware of my existence in a way I had never experienced before. I was neither here nor there, but I felt utterly alive. In the aftermath, doctors confirmed I had been clinically dead for 6 minutes. My heart had completely stopped. I remember that stark realization settling into my bones. I had crossed a threshold most people never reach, and I was still grappling with the implications of that. Just as panic began to crystallize, something shifted. Out of nowhere, an overwhelming wave of fear enveloped me, pulling me into an icy embrace. My heart raced, yet in the midst of that terror, I felt an indescribable calm wash over me. It was a perplexing juxtaposition, a reminder of my mortality paired with an inexplicable peace. I was being drawn into a shadowy dimension, something so foreign that each flicker of dread was quickly replaced by an unsettling curiosity. What I saw next was beyond comprehension, a gathering that would change everything I thought I knew about good and evil. As I strained to focus, the shadows took form. An unsettling presence dominated the scene, surrounded by flickering figures that seemed to blur the line between myth and reality. In that moment, I grasped that I was on the edge of a revelation so profound that it threatened to unravel the very fabric of who I believed myself to be. I found myself in a dimly lit realm filled with darkness and whispers that sent chills down my spine. My surroundings felt alive, almost thrumming with an unseen force as I hovered at the edge of something incredibly sinister. In front of me stood a commanding figure, the Antichrist, cloaked in shadow and flanked by grotesque demonic entities, whose forms twisted and writhed unsettlingly. It was a sight that shook me to my core, stirring a dread unlike anything I had ever felt in life. What astounded me most was how the air buzzed with malicious energy, thick and heavy, like a storm waiting to unleash its fury. Each demon seemed to pulse in sync with a chilling directive, their eyes glistening with intent. I could sense their malevolence not just in my mind, but in the very air around me, wrapping around me like a vice. My instincts screamed at me to flee, but instead I froze, caught in a grip of terror and fascination as I was drawn deeper into their dark congregation. In that haunting space, clarity emerged amid the chaos. I received an alarming vision that unfolded like a sinister blueprint, a gathering to discuss tactics against humanity. I witnessed their plots unraveling, an orchestrated plan to exploit fear, sow discord, and instigate chaos. Each revelation pierced through my skepticism, unraveling the tightly held beliefs about the nature of evil I had clung to for so long. Yet, as I absorbed this horrifying tableau, I sensed that what lay ahead was even more terrifying. The true agenda of the Antichrist and his malevolent allies. The tension in the air escalated, and I felt an overwhelming urgency to understand why I had been brought here, to witness this gathering of darkness. I braced myself for the revelations to come as the vision deepened, setting the stage for the ultimate confrontation between light and shadow. As I stood in the grip of that dark congregation, I witnessed glimpses of a figure emerging from the shadows. A leader whose charisma was palpable, like a magnetizing force. He was cloaked in the trappings of political power, weaving through the fabric of society with an unsettling ease. There was a chilling understanding coursing through me. This was the Antichrist, rising and ready to exploit the fragility of a world teetering on the brink of chaos. Around him, the demons conferred, their whispers a discordant symphony of malice. As I listened, a cold clarity settled over me. Their immediate objectives centered on igniting division, sowing chaos, and ultimately driving society towards collapse. My heart sank further as I realized they were targeting global hotspots, manifesting an imminent disaster projected to unfold as early as 2024. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. This wasn't just idle chatter. It was a wicked plan put into motion. In that moment, time felt like it was collapsing around me. Each second weighed heavily on my spirit, a cacophony of urgency and impending doom. The atmosphere was thick with an oppressive energy, and I felt caught in a riptide, pulled deeper into their dark machinations. My instincts screamed for me to escape, but I was frozen, overwhelmed by the stark reality of their intentions. I could feel the weight of their ambitions wrap around me like a shroud, and any lingering skepticism I'd held about the battle between good and evil began to erode. Yet, amid the darkness, the most haunting wisdom emerged. This wasn't simply a gathering of malevolent forces. It was a clarion call for humanity. I understood then that we were standing at the precipice of something monumental. As the demons plotted and schemed, I felt a powerful urge for humanity to open its eyes to the storm brewing just beyond the horizon. There was a choice to be made, one that would echo through the very fabric of our existence. The visions shifted before me, presenting a chilling tapestry of destruction that struck my heart with dread. I was pulled into a panorama where chaos reigned, cities ablaze, streets choked with confusion, and fear spreading like wildfire. Dark entities hovered ominously over the scenes, feeding on the panic and despair of humanity, fanning the flames of chaos. As I watched, it felt like I was witnessing a waking nightmare, one that reflected the bitter truth we so often chose to ignore. In the middle of this turmoil, a revelation pierced through the murk. I sensed an economic collapse looming on the horizon, one that could strike by late 2025. It gnawed at me, every detail etched into my mind. I began to connect the dots. Rampant greed, neglected warnings, and a collective ignorance that seemed to blind us to the sinister forces pulling our strings. This was not just a forecasting of financial ruin. It was an awakening to how deeply interconnected our lives were with unseen powers. Experiencing this was no small burden. It was painful to witness such ignorance among humanity. I felt a deep sorrow as I considered how many would be caught unaware, trapped in a web of deception. Yet within that anguish, a shift began to take root in my thinking. I realized that while the landscape was grim, it also offered a pivotal opportunity for transformation. We needed to unite spiritually, to awaken from our slumber, and stand firm in the face of this impending darkness. My fear morphed into a sense of duty, compelling me to ignite change, not just in myself but in those around me. This wasn't merely about surviving the chaos. It was about finding strength in community and resilience within our souls. Despite my lingering skepticism, I felt a profound responsibility to share this knowledge, to shine a light on the shadows threatening us all, and to advocate for solidarity in our spiritual journeys. Hope flickered in the distance, urging me to press on, reminding me that even amid impending doom, there lay a path to empowerment, one we could forge together should we choose to heed the warnings before us. As I emerged from the clutches of darkness, I carried not just fear, but a resolute message. Our spiritual resilience is our greatest weapon. Waking up in the hospital, everything had shifted inside me. The sterile smells, the beeping machines, and the concerned faces of my loved ones felt like a distant echo, overshadowed by the weight of my experience. I was still grappling with the enormity of what I had witnessed, but it ignited a fierce need within me to share what I had learned. I realized that to combat the dark forces I encountered, we must cultivate our spiritual awareness. It will not be easy, but we can arm ourselves. It starts with communal prayer, gathering together, even if it is virtual, aligning our intentions towards light, hope, and protection against negativity. Each whisper of prayer can serve as a shield, pooling our energies in solidarity. It is more than just words. It is about creating a collective force that cannot be easily shaken. This journey is not just about preparing for a looming threat. It is also about nurturing our spirits. I learned that sharing experiences and insights with others can forge unbreakable bonds. We are not meant to face these shadows alone. By cultivating this sense of community, we lay the groundwork to uplift one another, to inspire strength even in the darkest hours. I urge each of you, seek out those who share your journey. Whether through discussion groups, study circles, or simple coffee chats, let us build networks of support that can withstand any storm. I am sharing this not just out of fear, but as a beacon of hope. I have felt the weight of that darkness, and standing on the other side, I want you to know that there is a light we can nurture, one that can pierce through the most suffocating shadows. Each act of kindness, every moment of gathering, reinforces our spiritual resilience against what is looming. Let us arm ourselves with knowledge and connection. Together, we can illuminate paths where despair would otherwise take root. If my story resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe, like, and share this video with those who need to hear it. Let us stand together, united in knowledge and purpose, for the journey ahead. Thank you for being part of my journey. Together, let us shine light into the shadows threatening our world.